The outfield is in flux due to injuries. We take a look at the replacement options, plus some very encouraging news on Sonny Gray. This is Locked On Cardinals.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Cardinals fans. I'm JD Hafford, and I'm a national radio sports anchor, born and raised in the Lou, and a lifetime Cardinals fan. And I'm your host for Locked On Cardinals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. You can follow me on Twitter X at JD Sports Radio. You can follow the podcast at LO_Cardinals. I do want to thank those of you who make Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. We're also on YouTube. And if you haven't been there yet, how dare you? How dare you skip out on us on YouTube? But if you've been there, fantastic. If you haven't, come on by, like, subscribe, and comment. That way you're interacting with us. Hit the notification button so you know when new episodes are posted. This is a show serving Cardinal Nation and giving the best fans in baseball all of the info about the birds on the bat. Today's episode being brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. New customers join today, and you will get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. Now, for those of you who are watching on YouTube today, you will see that we are inside the Cardinals locker room. Not really, but that is the background today because we are still putting together the new house that I have moved in, which is why we haven't had an episode out since Thursday, because moving is horrible, especially when your wife is on vacation. And she went to spring training in Arizona to go watch her Reds with a bunch of her girls. And so I'm doing it all by myself, which makes things a little bit tougher. So until we get everything set up the way it needs to be, we're going to have one of these virtual backgrounds on the YouTube videos. I did order a green screen to make it look even that much better. So that should be coming tomorrow. But anywho, just wanted to explain that for you. So let's get into what's going on with the Cardinals right now. We're going to get into Sonny Gray. We're going to talk about what happened in today's game, which started off really, really well and then got ugly later on against the Nationals. But the outfield, like, why can't we have nice things? Who has the Cardinals voodoo dolls and are punishing us with them? Is it Sam from Locked On Cubs? Is it Jeff Carr at Locked On Reds? Which one of you is doing this? Chuck and Ethan from the Brewers and the Pirates would never do such things. Honorable gentlemen. I don't know about Sam and Jeff, though. I feel like they might do something like that. But someone is spinning the black magic against the Cardinals right now because, once again, the Cardinals outfield, which at the beginning of seasons always seems crowded, right? Always seems like we got 15 of them. Too many to go around at the beginning of the season. And it's starting to look a wee bit thin again as we inch closer to opening day. We've also endured the Sonny Gray scare this spring, although like I said, we got some encouraging news, which we'll talk about later. But the latest on the outfield, in case you haven't heard, Tommy Edman, who we know was questionable already at best to start the season with the team, said on Saturday that he got a bit of peace of mind after getting multiple opinions on the pain and stiffness that lingers in that right wrist, which was surgically repaired in October. Edman is hopeful that he'll soon be back on the path toward a return, despite still being unable to hit live pitching yet or even fully swing from the right side of the plate. That's not good. I mean, that sounds like he's really far away. I told you, I'm really nervous about this Tommy Edman injury, that it's something that it's going to be quite a while before we see him in a Cardinals uniform. Edman told MLB.com's John Denton, we've gotten a couple of opinions, and there's nothing conflicting. And this is where it's kind of good news. We're still trying to decide some things, but at least there's a path forward now. And I guess that is a positive way to look at it, but there's no clear end to this path yet. We don't have any idea when we can expect him back. And I said this last week, that this just doesn't feel like one of those injuries that is going to go away, that it's something that's probably going to linger with Tommy Edman all year, hopefully not his entire career. I'm not predicting that that's what's going to happen, but doesn't it just kind of give you that feel of one of the even when Tommy does come back and is supposedly healthy, he's going to miss multiple days here and there due to stiffness or load management on that injured wrist. And if your wrist is bothering you, I don't know if you know this, but good luck hitting. Good luck. I expect a dip in his numbers. Is he even going to be productive when he comes back from this? It's a really crappy looking scenario altogether. And normally I'm pretty positive about stuff that's going on, but this just has season-long implications written all over it to me. So I'm preparing for the worst there. Now moving on to the other expected starting outfielder that's hurt again, Lars Nootbaar. Things are never easy with Newt, is it? And it's not his fault. It's just the weirdest stuff happens to him. Any injury that he suffers on the surface appears to be minor at the beginning, right? You're going to hold him out a couple of days. It's going to be all right. And then we get news that it's way worse than anticipated. So now Lars is expected to be out about 2 weeks. About 2 weeks after undergoing imaging on his ribs and abdomen following lingering soreness after getting injured a week ago against the Astros. Nootbaar suffered the injury when he attempted to make a twisting and turning catch in left field, falling onto the warning track. As he landed, his elbow and forearm jammed into his midsection and began causing him pain. You can't make this stuff up. That pain ended up being not one, but 2 non-displaced rib fractures on his left side, putting his availability for the start of the season in doubt as well. John Mozeliak spoke about the new injury, saying, obviously this isn't great news, but we're not overly concerned about it when you think about it in terms of the season. He does have to get to a point where he is pain-free. He's got to get to a point where, and this could take 10 to 14 days, where he won't have any traumatic injury to that area. You won't see him playing in the field because you don't want to see him diving. Again, we all love Lars Nootbaar. We do. We love the guy. Charismatic on the field, in the clubhouse, in his interviews, gives you 110% out there. And when he's on the field, the dude is good. But do we need to start putting him in bubble wrap? Is that something that we can put on him? Can they come up with a uniform that's not see-through and is made of bubble wrap for my guy Lars Nootbaar so he can stay healthier and play more baseball for us, which we love to see? My God, it's just one weird injury after another with him. It's like, and I hate to compare him to this, but it's like Tyler O'Neill all over again, where when he's on the field, he's pretty darn good, but he's off the field a lot. Different type of injuries. O'Neill's were always muscles, it was always some kind of tissue issue or something, where at Nootbaar, just the weirdest stuff keeps happening to him. It's bizarre. He's got all this potential, but he can't stay on the field. So it's frustrating for everyone involved, for the fans, for the coaches, for the management, for Lars, obviously. It's tough. It's tough to keep hearing it over and over. And I'm sure when they give him the news each time about how bad his injuries are, he's like, are you serious? Again? So now the Cardinals are without 2 of the 3 projected starting outfielders already heading into the regular season. So what might the outfield look like now on opening day against the Dodgers if both of these guys are out, which is what we're expecting? Because you shouldn't expect anything better than that right now. Honestly, you should absolutely expect to have neither one of them available. So we're going to dive into who these replacements might be next on Locked On Cardinals. Say goodbye to busted brackets because FanDuel lets you bet on every game of the tourney, whether you're betting on a big upset or a number 1 seed. It's time to go dancing on America's number 1 sports book. And I know guys in general, we're usually nervous to go dancing, but when it comes to the tournament and it comes to this time of year, college basketball, gosh, is it so much fun. And it's even more fun if your team wins. And it's even more fun if you're watching these games and placing bets with FanDuel. Because right now, new customers, you're going to get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 to use on point spreads, money lines. You can even pick who's going to win it all. Who's going to be this year? Houston. Man, Houston looks good. Houston looks really, really good. What about UConn? You got a Cinderella story that you think is going to surprise some people? You got a Gonzaga or something like that from back in the day before they became number 1 seeds. Remember Gonzaga used to always give everybody some trouble. Who's going to be this year? Who's it going to be? A lot of them out there. So check it out for yourself by going to FanDuel.com/lockedon and bet on college hoops until they cut down the nets. Again, $200 to use on point spreads, money lines, anything you want. You can even pick who's going to win it all by visiting FanDuel.com/lockedon and bet on the college hoops until they cut down the nets. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows, which cover every league. Find Locked On Sports Today right now, available on the free Fire TV channels app. And thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. Leave your comments on YouTube as well as on Twitter X anytime you want. Feedback always welcome and encouraged from you. I'm sure everybody's got a ton to say about the different injuries that are going on in camp right now. But again, we got really good news about Sonny Gray. We'll get to that here in a bit. But we're talking outfield right now. If we subtract Tommy Edman and Lars Nootbaar from the outfield equation, who are we left with? Who is it that can fill these roles, at least for a little while when it comes to the Nootbaar situation, and probably a little bit longer when it comes to Tommy Edman? Well, we know that second-year starter Jordan Walker is going to be in right field. He is the last man standing again. Went through this last year with Nude and O'Neill and Carlson all getting hurt, which put Tommy in the outfield in the first place. Jordan Walker has reportedly continued to grow as a defensive player in right field. He continues to work at it. It is going to be a work in progress for quite some time. Made his first error of the spring on Sunday when he misjudged a fly ball that just kind of kept floating on him in right field there. The wind kept pushing it away from him. Hits off his glove, fell to the turf, and allowed a run to score. The guy who hit the ball ended up on third base. You know, nobody's going to be perfect out there, but kind of an ugly error. It just, you know, it looked like a guy who doesn't know what he's doing in right field. He doesn't look like that all the time, but that was just a bad one. It was a bad one, but it's spring training. We're not going to freak out. These things are going to happen from time to time. It's the nature of the game. So, who else can we put out there with Jordan? That's what we want to know. Let's start with Dylan Carlson, who has gone from prize prospect in all of baseball to a bench player, and now presumably will be back in the starting role in center field. It's somebody that's been there before. They trust him already. Some of the positives about Dylan: he is a center fielder by nature. This isn't somebody that they're forcing to learn how to play center field. He's been there before. It's what he came up playing in the system when he was one of the top prospects in baseball. And in his career, +7 in defensive runs saved there. So that's good. That's good, especially when you've got a Jordan Walker in right field who needs a center fielder who can cover as much ground as he possibly can. Another positive about Dylan Carlson: he is a switch hitter, which is awesome if you can hit well from both sides, but it's actually a negative when it comes to Carlson because he doesn't hit very well against right-handers, which is who you will see the majority of the time in the big leagues. His splits are as follows against righties: 970 at-bats. He's hitting .221, an OBP of .304, his slugging .368, the OPS at .672, OPS plus, and I think it's the total OPS plus, which is a little different from the split one, but either way, it's an 88. 100 is your league average, so he's below average there. Against lefties, those. 333 at-bats, because again, you face righties more. He's hitting .306, an OBP of .377, slugging at .472, OPS .848, the OPS plus .137. Like, the difference is night and day. And I'm rooting for Dylan Carlson because I want to see him succeed. I always have. I think the talent is there for him to be a very good major league outfielder. But it's time to crap or get off the pot because we need production now. And the job could be his. And if he takes off with it and runs away with it and becomes the guy that we thought he was going to be, fantastic. They need him to show them that he's ready to be that guy. You know, this is his chance to make a real impact with this team. He's got to stay healthy, and he's got to do better against right-handed pitching. I don't know why he doesn't just bat right-handed all the time. I don't know what the reasoning behind that is. If he's so horrible from the left side, you saw Tommy Edman take at bats right-handed against right-handers last year in specific situations and against specific pitchers who had, different arsenals. Why not Dylan Carlson hit right? I don't know. because he hasn't looked all that much better batting left-handed even in spring training this year. Although this spring, he's got his average up. With coming into today's game, he was at like a $150. It was like 3 for 20, had a double, 3 ribbies, 1 walk, 5 Ks, a stolen base. Not exactly taking the bull by the horns, but he did get a couple of hits today and got that average up over the Mendoza mark. So Dylan Carlson's going to get playing time right away. We know that. The other guy that's probably going to get a lot of playing time, Alec Burleson. The positives on Burleson, dude is just a flat-out hitter. He is. He's hit at every level that he's ever played at. He won a batting title at AAA in 2022. Then in his first full year in the pros, limited playing time, mind you, hits 244. 8 home runs, 36 RBIs, the OBP 300, slugging, 391 OPS, 691, the OPS plus at 87. None of that really moved the needle for anyone, myself included. I was underwhelmed by what I saw from Alec Burleson. And we kind of forget because he's an younger player. You know, he's 25 already? I don't have the specific in front of me. 25, 26, something like that. But he got drafted out of college. So it's not like he was a high school player. Like last year was his rookie season. Why we expected much more out of him as a rookie in a limited role, I don't know. But I feel like maybe we were being a little bit hard on him. If you take a deeper look into the stats, it paints a brighter picture. His expected batting average was 277, which was in the 85th percentile. His expected weight on base average, which is formulated using his exit velocity, which was good, launch angles on certain types of batted balls, sprint speeds involved there, which, he doesn't really have any of that. But anyway, it was 337. So in the 65th percentile. His expected slugging at 449, that's in the 68th percentile. Those numbers say that his stats should have been better than they actually were, but they weren't. He also doesn't strike out a lot, which I'm a big fan of. I hate that. I don't know why we're in a day and age where strikeouts are no big deal. Like, you should be embarrassed. Like, you just swung and missed and you struck out and have nothing to show for the at-bat. But Alec Burleson doesn't do that very often. His K and whiff percentage, 95th and 91st percentiles in all of Major League Baseball. He's very good there. The dude can stick. And this spring so far, hitting 375. He's 9 for 24, 3 ribbies, 4 walks, a strikeout, and a stolen base. The negatives, he's only a corner outfielder, which, whatever. He doesn't have to be. Not everybody can play center field. He's got a very strong arm, but he's not exactly the nimblest of men out there in the outfield. He'd be the first to admit that. A -4 in defensive runs saved, has very little speed. He has worked on his physical appearance so that he can play the outfield at a better level. So he has worked on that, has lost some weight this year. So, and he's looked good in the spring so far. I got nothing to complain about. Speaking of speed, next on this list, arguably the most exciting guy too, that could be one of the replacements, and that would be Victor Scott II. Positives, the speed, right? He's a weapon. It changes everything. When he's on base. Pitchers and catchers, they're so concerned with him that they lose focus on the hitters, and he's likely going to steal the base off you anyway. It doesn't matter what you do. The guy has just elite speed and reads pitchers very well, gets great jumps, gets on base, and he's going to do some damage. You saw it in Sunday's game where he gets a single, and then there's a couple of walks because the pitchers aren't paying attention to the hitter. They're paying attention to Victor Scott. He takes off, steals third base. They throw out Gorman at second, who was the back portion of that double steal there. So they throw to him because they're not even going to get Victor at third. And then a wild pitch, and Victor comes around and scores. Ball never leaves the infield. That's the kind of stuff he can do. And I know I caught some flack from people when I was like, it's very Billy Hamilton-like, but that's the kind of things that Billy Hamilton used to do with his speed when he was on the base paths. Like he could steal second and third, score on an infield single or a pop up to the outfield. Like, that's what he can do. Defensively, the dude can go. Let's just hope he can hit better than Billy Hamilton did in his career. Defensively, the dude can go get it with the best of them. Won the minor league Gold Glove award last year. We're not worried about him there. Negatives, we don't know if he's ready. We just don't know. He's only been in the minors for 2 seasons. Hasn't played above AA yet, which is why Mo has kind of said, let's pump the brakes for a second before we all get too wild about Victor Scott being on the opening day roster and being in the majors very soon. Defensively, I think he's already there. I'm not worried about that, but at the plate, I don't think the Cardinals think he's ready just yet as a hitter to be in the major leagues. And this spring, doing good, 292, 7 for 24, 4 walks, 4 strikeouts, 3 stolen bases. He's also not on the 40-man roster yet, which means they'd have to make a move there as well to add him to the opening day roster. So keep that in mind. And then we got Michael Siani, former 4th-round pick of the Reds in 2018. They claimed him off waivers back in September of last year. Solid glove, made a diving catch in today's game, which was really, really nice. Has very good speed. 2022, hit 252, 14 dingers, 55 ribbies, and 52 stolen bases at AA. Pretty good. At AAA, last year, things fell down. 227, 9 home runs, 48 RBIs, just 23 stolen bases. So far this spring, 267 with 7 walks. Coming into today's game, I don't know where he was at. If he even took it at bat today, I don't even really remember. But the most likely scenario here, and I know it's going to really upset fans, but the most likely scenario here, in my opinion, is they're going to have Burley in left, Carlson in center, Jordan Walker in right. Michael Siani is going to be your 4th outfielder. He's going to make this team. And then Brendan Donovan is going to be your 5th outfielder, kind of an emergency role until they feel like he's ready to play in the outfield, like with the elbow and stuff. So the reason I say this is because I know we all want Victor. We love Victor, friend of the show, Victor Scott. But if he's not going to play every day and you're going to use whoever the 4th outfielder is as a legit 4th outfielder who doesn't see playing time hardly at all, is going to be sitting on the bench for a lot of it, then Victor Scott needs to go to Memphis. He needs to go to Memphis and he needs to play every day. Second, he's never faced AAA pitching yet, unless you count the Arizona Fall League where he was good, 286, 18 stolen bases in 23 games. Bringing him up and having him struggle like Mason Wynn, if you're afraid that he's not ready yet, is not going to be productive for anyone. Newt isn't expected to be gone super long. They don't anticipate that. Perhaps the first week or so of the season at most, which means whomever is that 4th guy is either going to be sent back down anyways, or they're going to get waived. This situation screams Michael Siani. It does. He can be the defensive guy off the bench to take over in left field or right field, depending on the game situation. Doesn't need to play all that much. Would be a role player, can come off the bench and pinch hit. He can also pinch run, which would be a big thing. So when you're thinking about like Alec Burleson late in the game, Alec Burleson draws a walk or hits a double or something, you need that run to score. That inning, Siani comes in, pinch runs, goes out in left field. He's your defensive replacement. It makes a lot of sense. And if Victor goes down to AAA and just shreds at Memphis and is amazing over the first month, and then Edman is still a ways away and you're still kind of worried about how he's going to be when he comes back, then maybe think about the move then. But if we're just trying to get through a couple of weeks, I think Siani is going to be your answer. And I know that's going to upset you, but I just think that's probably what's going to happen. So leave me your thoughts and comments below. Some very good news on Sonny Gray plus Donovan and Mikolas starring in today's game against the Nats. We'll talk about it next on Locked On Cardinals. Fire TV is your destination for sports, from live games to highlights to in-depth analysis. Fire TV offers amazing viewing experiences with smart TVs, as well as the Fire TV stick that you can plug into your existing TV and provides access to millions of movies and TV episodes, as well as free and live TV. Just moved into this new house, and guess what? We're all getting Fire Sticks for our TVs. The cable guy even told me to get one. He goes, you want to save money and be doing something smart and good? Fire Stick. Told me that. Whether it's opening weekend for baseball or the college basketball tournament, you're going to want to have a Fire TV. Fire TV recently created Fire TV channels to deliver a constant supply of the latest videos from your favorite sports brands, all for free. And that includes all of us at Locked On and most of the big pro leagues and college conferences as well. Fire TV channels let you dive into all of the game analysis, highlights, and more to keep up to date on all the latest in the world of sports, March Madness, NBA, MLB, and a whole lot more. Not to mention great news, entertainment, gaming, travel, cooking videos, other things you're interested in as well. They got it all. So check out Fire TV channels on Fire TV and Alexa devices. If you haven't checked out Fire TV channels, you should. Learn more by visiting www.amazon.com/LockedOnFireTV. That's www.amazon.com/LockedOnFireTV. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. It's now available on Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today, here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today right now, available on the free Fire TV channels app. So, Sonny Gray, back on the mound today, which was great news. I'm going to throw up a picture here. This courtesy of Derek Gould on Twitter, who writes for STL Today. Got a nice picture of Sonny Gray in his bullpen session there. John Denton reported on this, but Sonny Gray back on the mound for the Cardinals. Not in a game, but it was just a bullpen session. And from all reports, he looked good. 20-pitch session, spoke with the media. His quote was, "It's been a good week." And when asked how things felt, he said they felt normal. John Denton said that Gray is encouraged by his progress and is supposed to have another mound session on Wednesday or Thursday, which would better dictate his availability on opening day, which I guess is still a possibility at this point, the way things are progressing. I'm still going to expect a cautious approach here and not plan on having Sonny available to start on opening day or probably that opening weekend or the opening series against the Dodgers. But it looks like he won't be out quite as long as I feared, where I was thinking maybe end of April. He appears to be ahead of that schedule, which is great. You love to hear that. And then in today's game, which the Cardinals lost 11-4 to the Nationals, they dropped a 6-8 Grapefruit League action. Miles Mikolas looked really good in his start today, like really good. 4 innings, struck out 5. He allowed just 1 run on 6 hits. A few of those, I know, barf, soft contact hits. Couple of infield hit, like it just, I don't know why it keeps happening to Mikolas, but it's got to drive him nuts. It's very annoying, but no walks per usual. Spring ERA now down to 1.80. Ryan Helsley threw another clean inning. He's looked really good. He looks healthy here in the spring. Still hasn't given up a run yet. Giovanni Gallegos, a little iffy early on in his inning of work, but got out of trouble in that lone inning to keep it where he only gave up 1 run. Things got ugly when Jojo Romero got in. He allows 4 runs on 5 hits in 1 inning of work. No punch outs. He has not had a good spring. Then Wilking Rodriguez walked 3, allowed 4 runs in 2/3 of an inning. Wilkin Rodriguez is in trouble as far as making this team. Romero is on this club for sure, but the ERA now at, what is he? He's over 10, something like that now. It just hasn't been great. I think they said he's been scored upon in 3 of his 5 appearances so far. And then Rodriguez ERA, 14.54, just bad, real bad. Offensively, though, Brendan Donovan, 2 for 2 with a walk, 3 runs scored. Goldie, 2 for 2 with a ribby. Gorman got a hit. He was 1 for 2 with a ribby and a walk. Arenado, 1 for 3 with an RBI. Contreras had an RBI sac fly. Brandon Crawford got his first hit as a Cardinal. Very nice. Base hit up the middle. Like I mentioned earlier, Carlson, 2 for 4. He did strike out twice, but has that batting average over 200 now. He's at 208, but still 11-4. Things got real bad later on in the game. So they looked good when the starters were in and Mikolas was in. Everything was going fine. Cardinals were up. They looked great. And then when the backups and then the bullpen got in there, and even though the bullpen's been really, really good this spring, this was one time where things blew up and it got real bad real quick. So they lose. Cardinals are back at it tomorrow. They'll play against Boston. Matthew Liberatore, your scheduled starter. Thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. If you haven't already, give us a follow on Twitter, X at LO_Cardinals and at JD Sports Radio. Like and subscribe on YouTube. Help our channel and our love for the Cardinals grow. Opening day, just a couple of weeks away. We're still trying to get to 10,000 subscribers. You could help me. I would appreciate that. You're the best fans in baseball for a reason. And I will see you next time on Locked On Cardinals.